So welcome everybody to this community chat, and actually it seemed only fitting that for our very first community chat we kind of kept it amongst ourselves and got a little bit real about the journey that we've been on. I know for myself it's been quite interesting starting a new business again. So although a lot of what I talk about, I've journeyed alongside a number of startups over the year, going back to the start myself again has been quite an interesting challenge and quite timely, I guess, just to go through that emotional roller coaster of the things that do challenge you, even when you've been quite experienced and you're used to helping others through this. It's still, when it's your own journey, becomes quite raw. And one of the great things that I've found this time is just having that small team. So I actually haven't felt alone. And of course, I'm sure many of you have already met Jasmine. Great to see you, Jasmine. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So what's been interesting for us, and I'm sure probably in the future we'll have another chat about this, but we actually work really remotely, and we recently, as people might well have seen, spent some time together, which was hugely exciting just to be in the same room. But nearly everything that we've done from that startup position has actually been 500 miles apart, hasn't it? Different places. So today we're just going to chat a little bit about you and one of those things that's been quite significant in our journey from starting up. So Jasmine, just tell us a bit about you and your story so far.
So hello, my name's Jasmine. You might have seen me on the social media in the team sections that we often like to do. But my kind of experience with social media started all the way back when I was doing GCSEs. So it was quite a while ago, but that's when I first took media studies as a topic. And really enjoyed it and decided to take it for A level. So I did another 2 years studying for that. And that's when I sort of realised it was something that I wanted to go into in the future. So when you get to that point choosing universities, I looked at choosing Cardiff University, which had a really good media course. Media communications was the course specifically in the School of Journalism. And I studied there for 3 years. I've now graduated. In that time, thank you. In that time, I've done several sort of placements and projects that are media related. So a really good one that I got to do was working with a niche television company where they were creating sort of their own films and things. And I got sort of hands-on experience with doing that side of the media projects because there's so much that it involves. There's a whole umbrella of things. And then other things like Flavor Bombs, which is another project that I have been loving doing. And that is a sort of, it was completely different from the film that I did, but it's so good to get the experience either way. And of course, the Maven Club, which is something that I absolutely love doing and creating content for. So that's sort of been my journey so far as to where I've got here.
Fantastic, thank you. And I think one of the things that's been really helpful is just that you're very much at the start of your career, and I'm a little bit further down that track. But I think also that intergenerational experience, where we are from very different generations, and we do have a different approach to what it means to connect and through social media. And obviously you have spent 3 years at university studying this as well. So I feel that it's been really beneficial just having those different angles, those different eyes, that different sense of who are you connecting with and how, and some of that insight that you've learned around how to connect with different audiences at different ages and stages. So I'm imagining your personal experience with social media is quite different to the business experience. And in my capacity, where I've worked alongside a lot of startups, and also the difference between working alongside a startup business compared to a startup charity is that approach. Now, often what people just carry through is their very personal interaction with social media, and they try to bring that into their business. And sometimes that works, but sometimes that really isn't the right thing. And so there's a level of relearning or just being a little bit strategic and thinking about it. So today we're really focusing on getting started from scratch with social media. And it was really great just to hear your story then around, why you think that's important, how you got interested in it and what that's looked like. But What's actually been a low point in getting things going with social media for you?
I think a low point would be if you work really hard on like a post or a campaign or something that you're doing online and it doesn't quite get the interaction or the engagement that you were after. I
Mhm.
think those steps can kind of knock you back a little bit if you kind of work really hard and pour a lot of time and effort into something and you just don't quite see the results straight away. But I think it's really important to remember that with social media, it's not just about one post, it's consistency, and you have to kind of keep working at it. And the more you kind of post and you see what people interact with and what people don't, the more you're sort of understanding your audience and you know
Mm.
how to move forward and how to create better content that's more suited to your audience. So I think although those times can feel slightly like they set you back, it's also really important to know that they do teach you a lot as well, and
Mhm.
it can help you grow as you move forward. So I think that's an important message to take from those sort of low points.
That's really helpful. Thank you. And I think, again, it's where that comparison with your own personal interaction can be quite confusing, because I think if we're using social media in our personal life, we're often kind of get that hit, that sort of great adrenaline hit if we've got lots of likes or interactions, or people have commented, because we might be sharing, a picture of us on holiday or something, and that's how you get that affirmation almost that you're connected. But actually, in the business world, it doesn't always translate as people putting a thumbs up or whatever their thing might be. And you might not get that many comments. And interestingly, it can really surprise you sometimes, the things that do get that more personal interaction. But it doesn't mean that people aren't seeing you. They're not it's not subconsciously going in. And so I think you're right to say that it's important to keep reflecting, yes, and use the stats for you to learn, change, adapt, interact with your audience and find out what is working. But keep an eye on the big picture, because it is going in, and it is that message, if it's consistent, it's potentially making a real difference.
Mhm.
So it's good though, isn't it, to recognize that actually in reality there are going to be low points. There are going to be those moments. But one of the things that we worked on together was a real framework for strategically thinking about the types of posts that were necessary, how to use that brand well. And I think one of the things that we did, and one of the things that we encourage as well, is just kind of just slowly building that sense of explaining your brands,
Yeah.
getting that brands out there. Just keep sharing. And it's quite a slow start then, isn't it? Because you're trying to put those foundations down, but you're not necessarily seeing that turnaround and that interaction. But how would you say having a strategic starting point actually has helped you to stay focused and not get discouraged?
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially when there's more than one of you in a team, to kind of sort of strategize together at the start of your social media journey. And I know this is something that we did a lot of at the start, sort of explaining what we wanted the brand to look like, what we wanted the brand to say, sort of the important things that we wanted to push and things that we wanted to present. And I think that's a really good starting point to kind of sit down, and even if it's just on your own, kind of, I'd encourage like a mind map or sort of a brainstorming session where you can really kind of discuss what you want to put out there. And I think it's consistency is so important with social media, that especially if there's more than one of you, if someone's coming in and posting one thing and someone's coming in and posting another and they're not aligning, I think that people can see that and audiences might not necessarily connect to that. So I think that that would be sort of a really good starting point to be strategic and to make sure that every post has meaning, every post is coherent with the rest of your team. And I think that that's something that I'd encourage people to do at the start of their journey, because I think that's really helped us on social media, sort of everything looking very uniform and suiting the brand. And I think that that's a really important thing to prioritize at the start.
Mm. And interestingly, we did all of that pre-work with the brand before even going live. Now, for some businesses, or startup charities, actually just getting on and getting going is absolutely fine. But definitely for our journey, and for many of the people that we work with, just getting some of that behind the scenes brand stuff in place is really helpful, and getting that strategy thought about and then get going with something generally is a real benefit. And there's a couple of things you mentioned there. We do actually have free resources, don't we, just to help people to plan and think about what are some of those starting points to think about if they want to get strategic before getting going. And of course, people can always chat to us. That's the idea, is that we're here to support and encourage. Now, we are a team. Not everybody starts as a team. A lot of people will start as a one-man band. But one of the things that's been really important, and this helps not to cause confusion, is that it sits with you. So whilst I will get involved and whilst we'll strategize together, it's really important, I think, when you get going, that there is a sense of who is doing the engaging, who's doing the tone of voice, and so that it isn't confusing. And that's been a really important thing as well, hasn't it? That there is a sense that this is your baby that you carry. We get together, we strategize, we think about things, we stay connected around what else is happening in the business, but actually this you're making sure you're setting that tone of voice. And why do you think that that's been really important as well?
Well, I think that's really important because I think, kind of like you've touched on there, it's kind of going into social media. I think there needs to be kind of a strong brand image that you kind of present. And I think by kind of making sure that everyone's on board, or yourself, you have a really clear plan of how to do things. Like I know you mentioned before we even launched, we kind of had a plan of what we were going to do for the first month and what we're going to do after that, and these kind of things and how they follow. I think it's really important just to be organized in that. And I think it can be really easy just to sort of want to jump in straight away and just create this social media presence. But I think if you take a step back to kind of think strategically and think, what's going to make my brand look the strongest and what's going to make kind of the most sense for my brand. And I think that that's those important steps that sometimes are missed and are needed in order to create a good social media presence. So yeah, that's what I'd sort of encourage people to do, and just to kind of just to make sure that everything is nice and strategic and thought through. And it will look different for every brand, like you said. It will be different for every team and for every person. But I think that was a really important thing that we did that kind of helped us to create our presence online and to start that social media journey.
Yeah, and I think we've benefited hugely from not being alone. So you can reflect, you can think. It's not as emotional a journey because you're kind of bringing different thoughts into that. You can be a little bit more balanced in that reflection, and it not be so sort of personally feeling like you're carrying it. And I think another thing that's been quite interesting for us is that we deliberately chose to do a slow growth because we wanted that sense of our values and that authentic connection, not just another kind of like, A, B, and C will get you this. We really wanted that authentic connection, that we do believe that we offer something different, and we do have a huge focus on looking after well-being for entrepreneurs. And so for us, it was about launching on Facebook and Instagram to just be in that setting where people perhaps aren't there yet, but they've got these ideas brewing, and with the right support, that could turn into a reality with them without it being this, sign up, spend loads of money, or this, if you want to become a millionaire, this is how you do it, 7 steps, follow my pattern. That's just not who we are. We are about the individual, about encouraging them, about them having that best work-life balance, and to really being released into the things that they are gifted in. And so whilst if you looked on the surface, you would say, but you're really a business to business thing. Why did you not just go with something like LinkedIn? For us, that didn't feel like what we wanted to do. We wanted to catch those people with their ideas, and we've left it quite late to now just start to connect into that LinkedIn world. Now, some of that is because that, even though it's a new business, there was that reputation from my previous work, and so some of the actual doing was able to happen. It wasn't like we were starting a cafe and we needed customers day one. That that would just come and buy our product, if that makes sense. You know, for us, this was about establishing the support journey more than the clients getting the clients, if you like. And so we've been able to be really paced about that, which has been great. So what I'm interested to know is what's been a high point for you and something that you really like pinch yourself about. Oh, that was just so cool that happened.
I think something that really stands out to me was last Christmas with the Maven Club. We did a sort of advent calendar style unboxing on social media, and that was really fun for me, to be honest. I just absolutely loved the creative side. We did different posts every day, and there was sort of different things behind each door, but the creative process of making that, the behind the scenes, was really just enjoyable for me to be able to create these images and choose the music and choose, you know, what was going to be behind each door and what it was going to look like, and the thought that goes into it. It was just really fun to organize it and post every day and see people interacting with it, and I really enjoyed that sort of whole set of posts that we did. That was really fun. And even little things like creating, like, I hid the logo in little bits of it, and that was just really fun for me to do. So yeah, completely just yeah, the fun of that. And I think as well, our audience is really connected with that because there was lots of fun things as well to give away. So it was lots of giveaways and things like that, which really kind of resonated with a lot of people. So that was really nice to see that engagement and see that kind of initial like engagement from people that you don't normally necessarily see. And it was just an exciting time of year anyway. So I did really enjoy that series that we did.
Oh, that's great. And you were a bit of a Christmas girl anyway, so that was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the message there, though, is that you can enjoy it. Sometimes this feels like a chore, but you can actually enjoy it as well. So, what would you tell others that might actually make a difference for them?
I think it's important to not kind of be too hard on yourself with social media. I think there's a huge sort of push to be perfect online and to present this perfect image. And I just don't think that it necessarily exists. I don't think you need to be perfect. I think being consistent and showing up and understanding your audience and understanding that you might want to do it differently to another brand. I think, like you've touched on earlier, everyone's really different. And for us, it didn't make sense to do LinkedIn first. We didn't take the conventional route that some other brands might have taken. So I think it's not all about just a one set plan. It's about personalizing it to you and understanding what steps feel right for you and your business and your brand, and whatever that might be, if you feel like it's the right thing to do. I don't think you have to be like this perfect image. I think just consistency is really important, but I don't think you should feel pressure to kind of conform to a certain brand image if it's not something that you think aligns with your brand. I think that's an important thing to remember when kind of creating these first steps.
Yeah, that's a great message, and it's in keeping with that focus on well-being, isn't it? Because I think we're so quick to be harsh on ourselves, and really you don't want to be setting yourself up to fail. It's really about taking the right steps that are achievable, and just don't do it alone. Just don't feel alone, because there's always someone here to encourage you, isn't there?
Always.
So what simple, just daily activity to finish would you recommend that's something that helps you keep moving forwards? It might resonate with some, it might not, but what's something, a simple daily activity that you do to keep that smile going and keep moving forwards?
I think from sort of a business perspective, something that's really nice is engaging with followers. I think that's something that is often we don't spend time to do, and engaging with the people, the audience, and kind of communicating with people. I think it makes you feel like a lot more personalized as a business, and I think it's very nice to kind of reach out. It's very authentic. So that's something that I'd encourage people to do in terms of social media. But like you said, a focus on well-being and looking at what you like to do. So for me, I like to just get out every day, and whether it's a run or a walk, I like to just clear my mind. And it looks different every single day depending on what I've got on, but just some sort of physical activity and getting outside, I think, is really important to clear your head. And I know that we both agree that like sometimes it's really nice just to sort of have a mindful walk and just a think, and to just whatever you've got on, just to sort of, if you look at the bigger picture and think about things, it can be really nice and reflecting, and I love doing that outdoors. So for me, that just works perfectly. Just yeah, a nice little stroll. And I just like seeing, we've got some sheep at the end of our road, so I think it's really nice to go see them as much as I can. So yeah, that's my favorite sort of thing, just to get out, just to think about whatever. And sometimes I find myself coming back from those sort of walks, and I've got a much clearer head, much focused, like much more focused vision. So it looks different for everyone, but that would be what I would do every day. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. You heard it here first. You heard from Jasmine. Get outside, and if
Get
preferably you've
outside.
got sheep at the end of the road, that will make it even better for you. Fabulous.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Jasmine, for just chatting with us and giving us
Okay.
some insights and some encouragements, really. And yeah, we look forward to chatting again. There's lots that we can chat about. We
Yeah.
enjoy a good chat, don't we? So
Me too,
I'm
love
sure we'll be featuring you again on these community chats. But
it. I
thank you
look
so
forward
much
to
for
it.
those insights.
Thank you. Thank you.